بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. I am deeply grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this blessing of being able to be with you and spend our time on a scientific discussion, what we call mudhakaratul ilm. We want to discuss knowledge, and I hope that inshallah all of us will leave this place inshallah by tomorrow evening, while inshallah we are more refreshed and inshallah more endowed with understanding and ma'rifah inshallah. This is my hope, and I hope inshallah I will myself benefit inshallah from these sessions. The first topic for us is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence and unity. And inshallah we will talk about other attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the next sessions. I am going to use now the first chapter of the book Lessons on Islamic Beliefs, and when I broke down this chapter, so I have some 50 bullet points to mention based on this short chapter. And please always feel free to ask me questions. If there is a question that you really want to understand in the middle of my talk, no problem. But if you can wait after I finish, in public, privately, you know, please don't feel shy. In Islam, asking question, not only it's okay, it's necessary. Because Allah says, "Fas'alu." You must ask. But there are some etiquettes. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people who know if you don't know. Sometimes we know something and we ask people to trouble them. Sometimes we know something, we ask people just to say we know. Or sometimes we ask people who don't know. So there are etiquettes to observe, but definitely Islam asks us to inquire. So, please feel free to ask me any question you have. First of all, we have to remember that there are some doctrines, that these doctrines are very fundamental for all Abrahamic religions. I always like to draw attention to the common grounds that we have with other people, because I think our mind is working mostly through differences. You know, when I look at people who are in front of me, the main thing that draws my attention is the differences. And this is a way to identify. For example, I see brothers, I see sisters. I see people in different places, different dresses, different ages. So this is the way for me to identify people. And if I am not careful, if I don't do a little exercise of training my mind, I may forget all the commonalities which are there. So these differences are on a platform of commonalities that we may forget. So it's always important to remind ourselves of the commonalities, because differences are noticed quickly, but The commonalities need attention. So, we as Muslims have many ideas in common with other believers in the Abrahamic religions, as we have other things in common with other people. But with them we have more in common. The fact that we believe in one God is very important. I was speaking on Wednesday in Winnipeg at the Canadian Mennonite University, and I said sometimes we take things for granted. To have someone in front of you that believes in God as creator, who is knowledgeable, who is powerful, who is compassionate, who is merciful, this is not something little. Imagine if you were talking with someone who has no faith in God, how difficult it is to convince him that there is God, and then to accept all the attributes of God that in Abrahamic religions we have. It's not easy. Now that Alhamdulillah someone has already got this, why we don't appreciate? So we all believe in one God, even if our Christian friends have a kind of understanding of unity of God, which is Trinitarian, but still they believe in one God. They don't say God is three, they say God is one. The Creator is one. But we have to always refine our understanding of unity of God, and this is why in the first session we will talk more about unity of God, because in Islam unity of God is very important. And as I will explain, more emphasis has been put on unity of God compared to existence of God. The second thing is we all believe in the need for guidance. We believe we need revelation. Although we have great capital, and that is our intellect, but God the Almighty has provided us with revelation and with the prophets, and also we all believe in the hereafter. This means that our life in this world is not the only life that we have. We have a greater life in front of us. And actually, without actively thinking the other life, you will not be able to make good use of this life. You know, if you go for a short period of time to a place, for example, if you go to a school, for example, and you forget that you are here for a limited period of time, but you have to gain a lot for your future. And depending how well you study, your future will be shaped and formed and facilitated. So, then you cannot appreciate a school. You say, okay, let us just play in the school. Or let just me be thinking about other things which teacher is teaching me. But when you know that first this is limited, and secondly a greater portion of your life depends on what you do now, then you become very careful and you appreciate every hour of the classes that you have. So with remembrance of the hereafter, we would appreciate more the gift of life that we have. So these are three major principles that we share with all Abrahamic religions, but we have something extra, and that is we believe that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a messenger of God, which is something that they may not accept, and actually he is the last messenger of God. So this idea, which we call it an-nubuwwatul khassa, this is something for us, not shared by them. But the rest of what I said so far is shared by everyone. Now, let us go to the Islamic Ummah. Naturally, when Rasulullah was alive, Muslims had different understanding, different levels of ma'rifah, different mindsets, but no group, no denomination, no madhab was formed. Yeah? Because the presence of Rasulullah was so powerful that the differences which existed in the mind of people and heart of people were not visible. And like when the sun is shining, you cannot see the stars. When Rasulullah was there, the differences were not visible. When Rasulullah passed away, the differences emerged, which existed, but it emerged. And what made those differences even more was the fact that Muslims were faced with new questions. Because, when the life goes on, new challenges come. For example, when Muslims were introduced to Greek philosophy, when they were introduced to other religions, for example, when Islam expanded to Iran, so they came across, ideas of the Zoroastrians. When it went, to West, they came things about, Egyptian, theosophy and philosophy, Greek philosophy, and Muslims didn't say these are bad things that we should not get engaged. Actually, they were very actively engaged. They kept reading them, translating them, and as you know, in Europe, it took them many years to have direct translations of Greek sources into Latin. Up to the maybe 13th, 14th centuries, they relied on Arabic translations of Greek texts. So Muslims were not close-minded, therefore they were engaged with these new thoughts. But Muslims didn't have, before Islam, a great, educational background. As you know, before Islam, it was the age of Jahiliyyah. The number of people who were able to read and write were not that many. Therefore, they were very much surprised by big questions, and sometimes these questions divided Muslims. They didn't have single answer. So if you go back to the 1st century and 2nd century of Islam, you find many madhahib, denominations were formed. And sometimes they had very difficult time in recognizing each other as Muslims. Even sometimes, they used to prosecute each other. For example, Mu'tazilites and Ash'arites, who were both Sunni theologians, sometimes they had difficulty, and when the Khalifa was siding by one of them, the other people were in trouble. For example, about the fact that whether Quran is hadith or qadim, whether Quran is created or is eternal. They had big discussion. Some people said Quran is created in time. Some people said Quran is eternal. Even the ink and paper on which Quran is written, some said it is eternal. This paper is different from other paper. This ink is different. And they were fighting each other. Anyway, although Muslims started with similar understanding, but gradually the differences became more obvious. The demise of the Prophet added to the problem. The introduction of many new ideas and philosophies added to the problem. Expansion of the Islamic world added to the problem. New challenges coming added to the problem. Therefore, madhahib were in need of somehow expressing their identity. So if you wanted to say that we think about Islam in this way, you needed to have something to stress on. And this is where the Shia historically found if they add 2 principles to those 3 principles, then they will be able to identify themselves more easily. We don't have any Quranic verse which says principles of religion are 5 or principles of denomination are 5, usul al-madhhab are 5. We don't have any Quranic verse. As far as I know, we don't have also any hadith which says usul al-madhhab khamsa. This is a historical development, and this was a way that the Shia could identify themselves. Other people did also something similar. For example, Mu'tazilites also have 5 principles. Qadi Abdul Jabbar al-Mu'tazili, he has a book, Al-Usul al-Khams. So they have 5 principles. Their 5 principles partly are different from our 5. Some of them are similar, some of them are different. Many groups, they have 5 principles or 5 pillars of faith, like most of our Sunni brothers and sisters. But when you look at it, you find those 5 not necessarily doctrines. Today, if you open most of the books on Islam, whether written by Muslims or Orientalists, because they normally refer to the Sunni Islam, so they say pillars of Islam are 5. But when they list, you don't find Tawheed or Nubuwwah, Ma'ad. You find Kalima or Shahadatain. So this is one pillar that they mention. You find Salat, Zakat, Sawm, and Hajj. So many books you open, you find they say these are 5 pillars. We accept all these 5, but the Shia scholars, they try to be more methodic. So they said, let us put theoretical aspects and practical aspects separately. So they came up with this formula that we have 5 doctrinal principles and 10 practical ideas or tenets. So we have Tawheed, we have Adl, Nubuwwah, Imama, and Ma'ad. We believe in many other things, but if you have these 5, it shows what your other beliefs are. Okay, this is a kind of identification. Anyone who believes in these 5, we can understand that he is a Shia. And when it comes to practical side, we have 10. So we have Salat, we have Zakat, we have fasting, we have Hajj, but we have also Jihad. They have also Jihad, but they don't count it as one of the 5 pillars. We have Amr al-Ma'ruf, we have Nahy al-Munkar, we have Tawalli, we have Tabarri. So this is a very logical way of articulating your faith. What you believe as doctrines and what are your major practices. I have an idea, a project in my mind that inshallah, if Allah helps, I would like to suggest to our community worldwide to go one step further, and in addition to having Usuluddin and Furu'uddin, in addition to have, we should have Thimaruddin. Because this tree has roots and has branches. What are the fruits? And this is akhlaq. So we should inshallah agree on few major moral characteristics as the fruits of this blessed tree, this shajarah tayyibah. And if we agree on few, then inshallah we would give enough attention. Because nowadays what we have is, we have a list of many virtues, and this list is, long list. Sometimes people then lose the focus. So if we can inshallah come up with few, that this is the project that I am doing, and in the Akhlaq series that we have in London, in Jose, So far we have highlighted about 5 major virtues that I think bring all other virtues with themselves. Anyway, inshallah, that's a project that with your dua can be successful. So, we have this articulation. Now, let's start with the first principle, and that is unity. That is Tawheed. Tawheed is very, very important in the Quran. So much emphasis has been put in the Quran on Tawheed. You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, "Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflih." Rasulullah was fully aware that that society had lots of problems. But he was very strategic. You know, when you deal with a situation that there are many, many problems, this can be a personal case, it can be a family issue, it can be a community issue, you know, something, a problem in your business, in your work, in your country, politics. Yeah, there can be many, many problems. So one way is to have all these problems in front of you and then start to fix them one by one. And sometimes, you know, you become hopeless, you know, so many problems, you know, each of them takes lots of time. And sometimes you actually may start with lesser problems. The problems that even if they are solved, they cannot bring that much change. But a wise person is the one that always tries to see, are there some problems that are roots of the problems, from which other problems come, so that if we focus on them, then other problems will be easily solved. Rasulullah knew that those people had lots of problems. You all are familiar with the problems existed in that society. No mercy for strangers, no mercy for slaves, no mercy for women, for children, no education, arrogance and negative pride. Many problems were there. But Rasulullah identified the root of all the problems. And that was lacking deep devotion to God the Almighty. So he said, "Qulu la ilaha illallah tuflih." But those people were also clever. They realized if they say la ilaha illallah, then they have to change their lifestyle. So they were not happy to say la ilaha illallah. Nowadays, some people say la ilaha illallah and they do these selfish things. But at least those people, they were frank. They said, you know, we are not going to say la ilaha illallah and cheat. If we say la ilaha illallah, we have to say it wholeheartedly. So they said, no, we don't say la ilaha illallah. We are happy with our lifestyle. But anyway, this shows the significance of la ilaha illallah. That Rasulullah said, if someone wholeheartedly says la ilaha illallah, everything else will finish. You all know this hadith, which is in the book also. Hadith of Silsilatul Dhahab. And this hadith is exactly in the way that I have put in the book. Because normally they say Kalimatu la ilaha illallah hasni, but as far as I did research, I'm not, of course, it's not possible to find another version. But as far as I made research, the hadith is like this: La ilaha illallah hisni. Faman dakhala hisni amina min a'dad. This hadith was said by Imam Raza alayhi salam in which city? You know, remember? In the city of Nayshabur. City of Nayshabur is about 1 hour drive from Mashhad. So Imam Raza on his way from Medina to Marv, stopped in Nishabur. And you must know that the majority of people in Nishabur, they were not Shia, but they had love for Ahlul Bayt. They asked Imam Raza alayhi salam to give them a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Thousands of people were there, and the historians say, they were registering. So now, look at Imam Raza's strategic choice. He did the same choice as Rasulullah. He emphasized on Tawheed. La ilaha illallah hasbi. This is a hadith Qudsi, which Allah says, word of unity, Tawheed, is my fortress. فَمَنْ دَخَلَ حِسْنِي أَمِنَ مِنْ عَذَابِي. Whoever enters my fortress would be saved from my punishment. It means that it can give you sa'ada, it can give you felicity, it can give you salvation. Then Imam Raza alayhi salam moved and stopped. Maybe in order to make them understand that this is not part of hadith, this is a commentary on the hadith. He said, بِشُرُوطِهَا وَأَنَا مِنْ شُرُوطِهَا. Again, this is exactly what is in the text. بِشُرُوطِهَا وَأَنَا مِنْ شُرُوطِهَا. There are conditions for this. Tawheed gives you salvation, but there are conditions. In order to make sure that you have proper grasp of Tawheed and proper implementation of Tawheed, you have to check few things. وَأَنَا مِنْ شُرُوطِهَا. And to believe in the fact that God decides for leadership, and we have divinely appointed leadership, we have imamah, is one of the consequences of Tawheed. If you really believe in Tawheed, as I will explain inshallah, it means that no one can claim your obedience except the people who are authorized by the one God. So Tawheed even defines your politics. Tawheed defines your akhlaq. Allama Tabatabai rahmatullah alayhi in Al-Mizan, he says, before Quran, there have been two major attitudes towards ethics. We are talking about the people who, in modern ethics, we call them teleologists. Teleologists, not theologists. Teleo, which comes from the word teleos, which means end. Ghaya. As you know, a very important trend in ethics is to say an action is good when it produces good results. But these good results should be defined outside the realm of ethics. For example, it can be welfare, it can be peace, it can be self-realization, it can be nearness to God, it can be justice. So there is a list of different suggestions. Before Quran, Allama Tabatabai says, as far as we know, the emphasis has been put on either saying that good actions bring good results in dunya. So for example, if you are kind, people will love you. If you are kind, you would have cohesion in the society. So something worldly, something that comes right in dunya when you do something good, or if you do something bad, bad results that come in dunya. Or something about reward and punishment in the hereafter. If you do this, you will get this reward. You will get to heaven. If you do bad things, you may be punished. So the emphasis was on the results, either worldly results or results in the hereafter. But Allama Tabatabai says Quran, in addition to recognizing these two as two ways of encouraging people, the Quran itself sometimes refers to the results of actions. The Quran refers to the reward and punishment, for example, or the Quran refers to the worldly results. But Quran has something extra, something new. And that is to do your ethics on the basis of Tawheed. If you are a true muwahhid, a true monotheist, everything else will be sorted out. Our problems start when we don't face one God. Either we don't believe in God, or we believe in God, but in practice, we don't turn towards God. If you turn towards God, you don't have any problem. How can you believe in one God from whom all the good things come, and then you be jealous, or selfish, or greedy, or unjust? All these problems is because we forget or we don't believe in one God as the source of all beauty. Everything that you need is in God and comes from God. Why you are looking for the things that cannot be helping, that cannot be solution? You know, in dua we say, Ya man ismuhu dawa'un wa dhikruhu shifa'un. What does it mean? It means that all our illness is because of forgetting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, the healing comes when you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If dhikruhu shifa, it's because forgetting Him is causing illness. When we have, for example, sun in our, solar system, the light comes from sun. If you try to go away from sun or turn away from sun, you have to be in darkness. If you want to get light, you have to turn towards sun. There is no other way. If you really want anything good, you should go towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should put your hope and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya man arjuhu likull khayr. Unfortunately, we say these things, but we have not absorbed. If just we believe in this, Ya man arjuhu likull khayr. For every good thing, my hope is in Him. Then I don't think anyone would be jealous or greedy or selfish or unjust. Such people become themselves helpful for other people, because then they can reflect the light of God to other people. A true mu'min receives light, but the light which comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has this nature that will be also passed on. You can receive money and keep it for yourself. Even you can receive knowledge and keep it for yourself. You can have some experiences and hide it from other people. But if you receive light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it means that you are already able to pass on this light to other people. This is the beauty of something which comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the people who are true recipients. If you are not true recipient, you cannot receive it. And if you receive it, you will pass it on. You cannot have it stuck over there. So, Tawheed, according to Allama Tabatabai, is the main emphasis in Quranic, novel and new way of dealing with ethics, in addition to the conventional methods that are there, and the Quran also uses them. So, it's very, very important. And also, I have to say something which is not in the book, in other places I have said, that unity of God should be echoed in unity of humanity. You cannot believe in one God and worship one God and then be divided. If Allah is one, He expects us to be united. And this is about actually all the principles. Allah is just. Doesn't this have impact on our relation? Of course it has. We have to be also establishing justice among ourselves. If we worship God who is just, then it means that we have to also try hard to implement justice. If Allah is one, we have to also establish unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala among ourselves. First, where is the first place to establish unity? Can you tell me? Where do you establish first unity? More? First, you have to establish unity in yourself. Because even we can have a person who is divided from within or a person who is united. Every person should be a solid unit. You know, sometimes I say what we need to have is a palace. The community is our palace. Bunyan marsus. This is our palace. Or Rasulullah said, Mu'mineen are kal bunyan. In addition to the Quran, which says, Inna Allah yuhibbu alladhina yuqatiluna fi sabilihi saffan ka'annahum bunyanun marsus. Rasulullah also said, Mu'mineen are bunyan, kal bunyan. Okay. If you want to have a palace, a big fortress, a big building, what do you need? You need solid bricks. If you have loose bricks, but the best of designs, it is going to collapse. You have to have solid bricks. So every member of the community, every individual is a solid brick. Or hadith says, mu'mineen are like one body. So each of us is a cell of that body. If that cell is dead, or is broken, or is ill, it affects the entire body. So we need solid bricks. So every person has to be solid. How can you be solid? How can you be strong? How can you be confident? This needs unity inside. Can you tell me a few things that can make a person divided as a person? I'm not still talking about family or community, I'm talking about a person. Can you tell me some examples about a person being divided from within? Pardon?
Words and actions.
How? Yes. Sometimes there is division in the sense that we don't do what we believe in. We don't say what we believe in. This is a lack of unity. I believe in something, but I do something else, or I say something else. This is a division. What else? When inside us we have good forces and bad forces. I don't know if you are familiar with the hadith of Junudul Aql wal Jahl. Yes? Aql and Jahl, intellect and ignorance, each have their own soldiers and helpers. Sometimes in us, we have powers of virtues and powers of vices at the same time. Sometimes we have good qualities and bad qualities. Never be deceived by having some good qualities in yourself and say, I am very good because I have those few qualities. And also never be hopeless when you see bad problems in yourself, because there are maybe good also problems. Most of the people, unfortunately, have a combination of good qualities and bad qualities. And also when it comes to actions, they have combination of good actions and bad actions. خَلَطُوا عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَآخَرَ سَيِّئًا. If we were just doing good deeds, and if we just had good good qualities, then we would be good mu'min, true mu'min. And this is unity inside. Another thing which is very important, especially nowadays, and I would like, some of you mentioned, what do you think today is very much preventing our internal unity, especially in this age? Pardon? In which sense?
Internet, social media.
Where are you? Who is speaking? Yes.
Social media, we're not communicating face to face anymore. It's all on phones, computers. And ego of others.
Pardon?
Ego.
Something that, yeah, no, it's okay, thank you. Something that very much affects us today especially is there are too many distractions. We are not just a physical object. If we were just a physical object, as long as our body is intact, we could say we are united. But we are an intelligent being. An intelligent being, when its attention is divided, when its mind is busy with many different things, it's divided. Imagine if you have, for example, a group of people who are working on some research projects. If someone manages to distract them, keeps phoning them, sending messages to them, and keeps them distracted, this unit cannot work, become useless. Today, unfortunately, our ability to focus and concentrate is very badly affected. And our ability to understand and actually go further and come up with new ideas very much depends on concentration. We very much need concentration, but we are actually very much losing concentration. We have to be very careful. I have a reflection on one of the hadiths about the time of Imam al-Zaman Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. I don't know, have you heard this hadith that when Imam al-Zaman comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts his hand on the heads of people. وَضَعَ اللَّهُ يَدَهُ عَلَى رُؤُوسِ الْعِبَادِ. Either means hand of Imam or hand of Allah is put on the head of servants of God, people. Then hadith says, فَجَمَعَ بِهِ عُقُولَهُمْ وَكَمُلَتْ بِهِ أَحْلَامُهُمْ. What does it mean? Their uqul is put together, is brought together. My understanding is that Imam will bring them focus and concentration and orientation. And then after that your aql becomes able to function in the best way. You know, when I was doing my PhD, I had this experience that I did most of my work when I was able to concentrate. Sometimes, you know, for a few weeks you study, but you don't have that deep sense of concentration. Then you don't that much move forward. You know, you can collect information, you can write notes, that's not important. When you want to be original, when you want to come up with new ideas, you need concentration. Anyway, we need to have unity inside each person, and part of it is unity of intention and actions, unity of beliefs and practices. Part of it is concentration. And please safeguard yourself and children today with respect to distractions. There are so many distractions. Even if distractions are good distractions, like for example, you know, someone sends you good messages, but if you don't have control, this can be also a problem. So it's not distraction only haram music or haram picture. Even sometimes something halal can be distractive. So you have to be careful. But we have also to establish unity inside our family. We need unity in family. Again, this is today under big attack. First of all, people are not able to find people with whom they can be united. It's not easy. And also, if they marry, again we have breakdown. Unity of family. Unity of community. It seems that we have not yet been able to establish real unity of mu'minin even in one town. At least I don't know of any city that I can say they pass unity tests. If you know, I asked them few questions to see whether they pass the test. So far, I have not seen any, even single town, that mu'minin of that town are united in the way that would be pleasing Allah. Yes, they respect each other, they say salam to each other, but there is no real unity. Sometimes they even have difficulties, tensions. Sometimes no, they just ignore each other and they do what they want to do. Unity of family, unity of community, unity of believers in God, unity of humanity. Even we have to be united with the nature. A mu'min should be able to be united with the whole creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you go to a forest, when you go next to a river, when you climb mountains, you should be able to be united with those things that you see. Because they belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have not gone to a stranger world. You have to be deeply connected to the trees that you see, to the birds that sing. So this is our idea of unity. I have a short clip about the spirit of unity. If you like, it's on YouTube, a spirit of unity, in which I talked about this. So, the unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be established in ourselves and our relations. So it's not just something about Allah without having impact on us. It's quite opposite. You have to fully absorb that unity and become yourself a facilitator of unity, a voice of unity, an ambassador of unity, a servant of unity, inshallah. Let us have some break and inshallah we continue. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.